Now, to state this amazing thesis, we need first to coin a precise term. It has to do with descriptions and the idea that a description can be more or less complete. Okay, so just as a way to give you a sense of what it means for a description to be more or less complete, I'll give you one. Here's the description. There's a guy in a room talking to a camera. That is a description. It describes what's going on in this room. It's incomplete. Why? Because there are possibilities that it leaves open. It doesn't say to you whether the guy has shoes on or is shoeless. I could make the description more complete by adding to it. I could say there's a guy sitting in the room, standing in a room, looking at a camera with shoes on. That's true. He does have shoes on. Me. That's a more complete description because it narrows down the possibilities. Still leaves possibilities open. It could be, for all that we've said so far, that the shoes have shoelaces in them, or it could be that they have Velcro, seals. What do you call them? Velcro fastener thingies. Okay, so I could add, oh no, his shoes have laces, and I've got a still longer description, and yet there are still more possibilities that are left open. It could be that the laces are brown, it could be that the laces are black, and so on and so forth. Let's say that a description is more complete when it leaves fewer possibilities left open. It leaves fewer possibilities open. And less complete when it leaves more possibilities open. And say that a description is fully complete when there's only one way that the world could be in order to satisfy the description. A fully complete description is one that leaves no different possibilities open. Given a fully complete description, you can't say, oh, but there's something that's been left out. There's further possibilities that haven't been nailed down, that left open by the description. There are no further possibilities left open by the description. That's the characteristic feature of a complete description of the world. So, could there be a complete description of reality? And in particular, could there be a complete description of reality in the language of science? What's the language of science? Well, it's the language spoken by people on Nova, Alan Alda, people on the BBC, David Attenborough, spoken by physicists and chemists and biologists in universities all over the world. It's the language that you're familiar with from science class at school. It's talk of electrons, talk of photosynthesis, talk of genes, talk of electrolysis, talk of elements, talk of hydrogen atoms, so on and so on and so forth. That's the language of science. Could you describe fully, completely the world in that language? Now, of course, a complete description of reality in the language of science would be very long. It would be, the piece of paper would be far longer than the universe is wide. So it would have to, in some sense, sit outside of the universe. But maybe once we've specified that, you might think there's no obstacle to the existence of such a description. It's at least, in some sense, possible for us to describe everything about reality in the language of science, to leave no possibilities open with a description of reality in the language of science. That is a bold claim, but it's a claim that many people, particularly scientists, are going to be very highly predisposed to agree with. They'll say, after all, the world we're living in is turned out to be extraordinarily amenable to scientific description. Science is this fantastically powerful tool for understanding and describing the world. And there's no little bit of it that it's turned out science can't address. There's no little hole, no little space in the world such that there can't be a full, adequate scientific description of what's going on in that space. People used to think, back in the Dark Ages, when people's minds were clouded by theological dogma, they used to think that there were spirits and angels and wraiths, such that science could not account for what was going on with those kinds of creatures. We no longer think that. We're good 21st centuries people who have faith in science as a tool that can be used to describe and analyze everything. Okay, that would be the thesis that science is complete. What we're going to look at in the next clip is an argument to the effect that that's wrong, to the effect that science can't, or the language of science can't give a fully complete description of reality.